Hey guys, welcome to Campus Culture, a new series we're doing where we have conversations with some of the most interesting people ever. I'm really excited about my first guest. He's a triple threat when it comes to education. He's got his bachelor's, he's got his MBA, he's got a doctorate of education. He's a pretty noted investor and pretty legendary entrepreneur. He's a generous philanthropist. Lately, he's become a pretty legendary DJ as well. I'm most excited to say that he's now a campus investor, one of our coolest, most exciting investors. But you guys probably know him as all-time NBA legend, four-time champion, Shaquille O'Neal. So I'm really excited to have you on the show today.
Thanks for being here. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm a little bit under-caffeinated, but ready to have a fun conversation. I think a lot of people are probably wondering, how did we get here? How did you get a PhD? I don't think people know you're Dr. O'Neal. Like you're Dr. I'm gonna call you Dr. O'Neal.
Yes, thank you. I very big on education. You know, in my line of work, which happens to be a professional athlete, 75% of retired athletes from 0 to 5 years have no income. Nothing, flat broke. I didn't want to be part of that stat. So my parents were very focused on education. My father was a drill sergeant, so whatever he said, basically we pretty much had to do. So he would always, read me horror stories. This guy had 10 million and lost it. This guy had 40 million and lost it. This guy's had 100 million and lost it. So I had to figure ways of how not to be in that category. So, when I first left LSU after my junior year, I made a lot of money. And I had a scare, and it's a well-known story. I get $1 million, and I spend $1 million in 30 minutes, because when you don't know anything about money, like now I understand EBITDA and capital gains tax, but when you get $1 million, you think it's $1 million, but you don't know nothing about FICA, sales tax, you don't know anything about that. So my agent calls me and says, "Yo, you got $1 million, so you know me. I got to get the wheels. I got to get the jewelry." So the bank manager called me the next day and he said, "We need to have a conversation." So he should show me the piece of paper, and first thing, you also hear a lot of stories where, people steal money from you. Like, you give the money to these guys and they steal money. So I've never seen FICA before in my life. So when I get the thing, FICA took a lot of money out of that $1 million. So I get upset, like, "Yo, who the hell is FICA?" And he's like, "Shaq, you need to, I don't want you to be like these." And everybody knew the whole stories, because our professional team was the San Antonio Spurs, and there was many of those guys who had it and lost it. So he gave me my first book. It was The Dummy's Guide to Starting Your Own Business. And that's how I got my first, pre-education on business. But it was, my parents were very big on that. I didn't want to be part of the stat. And a lot of times people think education is school, but you learn every day. So right. I learned that $1 million ain't really $1 million once the government gets through with it.
You learn the hard way.
Yeah, you learn the hard way. So, my parents wanted me to graduate and get my bachelor's. I got that.
So did you end up graduating from LSU?
Yeah, I graduated from LSU.
I did not know that.
7 years after I left. Because, I was doing albums and doing movies, and my parents, they were more impressed with education than they were with money or material things.
That's literally my parents.
Yeah, I'd buy my mom, like, "Okay, but when you gonna graduate?" "Mom, right. I'm doing a movie." "Okay, but when you gonna give me that degree?" So it was always, so I said, "You know what? One summer I didn't have anything going on. I was only short a couple credits, so I went to school in the fall and had to do some summer school, and then I graduated. So now that I got the bachelor's, sorry to cut you off, so now that I got the bachelor's, this is my third, fourth year in the league. I'm big time in business now. But my method has always been, let somebody else handle it. So I would go to my business meetings, and they would say, "Hey, Shaq, we want to talk to you about a deal. Thank you." And then they would look away. So now I'm like, okay, y'all don't think I'm in charge here. So then I said, okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I got to get my master's in business administration, because I want to understand
the strategy behind the tactics.
Yes, I need to understand. It took me about 4.5 years, and I got my master's. And then my mother, she's very brilliant. I showed her my master's degree. She started crying, and she puts her hand on my shoulders, and she says, "We don't have any doctors in our family." And when you have the mind of the athlete, I'm like, I always want to be first.
Right.
Always want to be first. Always want to be first. So I'm very big on education. So when I got your paperwork on my desk, and it's talked about helping kids get their associate's degree. It's definitely the right thing to do, because when I talk about partnerships and investments, I try to do things that's going to help people.
Yeah, that have an impact. A lot of folks are probably wondering, watching, like, oh, how did Shaq even come across campus? How did Shaq hear about campus? Why don't you tell the story from your side?
I wish I could take all the credit, but I have a lot of friends in the business, and a friend of mine knew about your story and thought that we would work well together.
From the Forbes article?
From the Forbes article. So, you talk about partnerships and investment, a lot of people is, oh, how much are you gonna make? I've never been that guy. This is gonna help people, it's gonna change people's lives. It's something that could be talked about 30, 40, 50, be talked about forever.
Right.
I would like to be part of that story, because remember, I like to be the first. So it's an athletic, AKA a little bit of an arrogance thing. Shaq was the first, so he did this, he did that. So then when I saw you, I don't like to use the affirmative action thing, but then when I saw you as a brother, I was like, I'm in. I'm in all the time. I was very impressed that something so elaborate was done by a young brother. I mean, I'm not saying that young brothers can't do it, but a lot of deals that I come across, we don't see a lot of us.
Yeah.
But like when you jumped on the Zoom, I was like, I had to click it off for a second. I talked to my boy, I was like, bro, you got me talking to a kid. He's like, no, that's him. I was like, this is Tade? And then I clicked back on, and then me and you had a brief conversation, and you have an unbelievable story about, how you and your twin brother and your sister were so smart that your parents knew that the school system wasn't fast enough and you had to be homeschooled, how you graduated at 16, and then, you was like, you know what, I'm gonna chill out for a while. You went to flight school for a year, then you said, I'm not gonna do that, I'm gonna go to London, I'm gonna do that, and you said you wanted to study aerospace engineering, something like that?
I did aerospace.
Yeah, you did like, bro, I don't know nothing about space. Only thing I know about space is looking up and saying, that's space. So for you to be smart enough to study aerospace, that's very impressive. And then, those are people that I want to be aligned with. And what you're doing now, this is legendary. And I commend you for that. And whatever you need from me, I will definitely be able to help you out.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. We have $40 billion a year that our government provides in grants, not loans that have to be paid back, like grant money to help people pay for college, and people don't know that. Almost $4 billion of it last year didn't even go claimed. Like if you look at wealthier schools, schools that have fewer Black and Hispanic kids, those are the schools that generally the kids get more of the free money than the kids at the schools that need it the most sometimes. And so, yeah, for us it was just like, okay, there's got to be a better way.
And I'll tell you what I do for you, because I like you. I would like to teach a class on business.
Of course. Dr. O'Neill, teach maybe entrepreneurship or marketing?
No problem.
Can you imagine how the kids are going to react when you show up on screen?
Well, they better have their answer on time, or you get an automatic F. I don't mess around.
Oh, that's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. Take me back to the beginning. Like, why did you even go to, at the time, you could go straight to the NBA. Why did you even go to LSU to start with?
Well, I was good, but I wasn't that good. And I wanted to experience college. And, for a guy like me, it's best that my life is like this. Because you see a lot of people go, pew, and they don't have experience of what that feels like. So when they hit the decline, they don't know what to do.
I can think of a couple examples.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I've had great decline, great decline, great. So when I got to LSU, I realized that everybody's here is an All-American. I had to learn how to, re-establish myself and, work even a little bit harder, and I became Shaq again. And then the same thing happened in the NBA. When I got in the NBA, I was a Shaq, but you still got Jordan, you got Dominique, you got Barkley, you got Ewing. So, I wanted to experience college, and I wanted to have fun, but after 3 years, I was like, I think I'm ready. You want to hear a funny story? My second year, I was good enough to go. I came home, me and my dad, we had a big argument, and my mom was the buffer, and she said, baby, come take a ride with me. So we ride to the grocery store, and she tells me to balance her checkbook, and I couldn't. I couldn't. And she says, baby, you can do whatever you want to do, but you're not ready. So now, as you know, in college, so now my junior year, I started taking my business courses and all that. Right. So now, I was like, she's going to want me, she's going to ask me the same question. Then after my junior year, she told me to balance it. I was able to balance it. But at 18 years old, I couldn't even balance a checkbook, which meant that if I would have went pro then, I would have definitely been in trouble.
it sounds like your parents were super active, kind of the driving force behind why you, all these years after playing, are kind of like in a different class compared to other NBA legends. Like, you've kind of had a second act that is all based on what you've done in business and philanthropy, which is all based on your degrees, which is all based on your parents. Like, did they help you pick what to study?
No, and I think, the basic job as a parent is you always want your children to have better than you. Father barely graduated from high school, had to join the Army to support the family. Mother had me when she was 16. She forgave her dreams to take care of me, but she always wanted me and my other siblings to have better. So you're not gonna be like me. You're not gonna be like us. You got to. And then with me being able to attend college for free because of my athletic ability, she definitely wanted me to take advantage of that, because a lot of us don't get that opportunity. So you got the opportunity to get in. We don't have to worry about getting you in. But now that you're in, we want you to, make the best out of it.
Right, you got to finish. Did you do Greek? Did you pledge?
What do you think?
You look like a Q to me.
I am a Q, brother.
Of course.
Yes, of course.
Okay, Divine Nine here.
Yes.
I had no idea.
You knew.
Are you still
Oh, yes, I am.
You still active?
Of course I am.
That's what's up.
I got a question for you. For the folks at home who don't know about campus yet, tell them how you describe campus to me.
Yeah, so what we've basically done is create a new kind of community college where anybody who enrolls in campus can learn from professors who teach at top universities like Princeton, UCLA, NYU, or top HBCUs like Howard and Morehouse, complete their first 2 years of college, get their associate's degree, and then we help them transfer into a four-year school to complete their bachelor's degrees. And I think the coolest thing about it is, again, back to this free money that the government gives away, these grants, like, we've done everything in our power to make sure that our tuition is low enough that most of our students who are doing our online programs don't have to pay anything out of pocket to attend. The government grants covers their full tuition cost. And then, of course, for about 80% of our students, they don't have a good enough working laptop to be doing online learning, so we just send them a laptop. We send them laptops for 80% of our students.
I love you, man.
No, but for like a free laptop for more than half our students, we pay their Wi-Fi bill, because these are like live.
Don't make me cry, stop.
These are live online classes, so you need to have fast internet, otherwise you can't attend. It's not like a pre-recorded video. It's like you're meeting every 2 days for 3 hours. So.
And that's why I wanted to partner up with you for stuff like that. I do stuff like that all the time, but that's very commendable, brother.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
And then, of course, like the students, it's not always easy. Many of them are the first in their family to go to college. And so we do everything we can to make sure they have all the support they need. So we pair them with what we call success coaches. This is somebody who basically plays the role my mother played when I was a student. It's like, why didn't you go to class today? Like, why did you fail that exam? Like, what are you doing? Like, they're just like staying on top of you, making sure you get through the program. And then we even give students, math and writing tutoring completely free on demand. So like, we're basically trying to do everything that is needed for the students to be successful. Because getting into college, as you said earlier, is like, yeah, that's a great accomplishment, but getting your degree, that's really what this is about. And community colleges in this country have an average graduation rate of 28%. The vast majority of kids who go to community college are never going to graduate. And so we're like, okay, we don't just want to create another community college that's not going to be successful. And of course, there are examples of community colleges that do have better completion rates. And what we've done is try to look at those institutions, learn from them, take their best practices, and then build them into campus.
What made you want to do this in the first place? Like, how'd you get to here?
When you think about it, it's like a lot of people today, young people, Gen Z, they kind of are losing faith in education. Like the way your mother was so confident that getting your degree was the right thing to do for you, like the statistics show that that's just not the case for most families today. A lot of people are losing confidence in our education system. They know their cousin who's got like 40 grand in debt. They know, their family friend who still can't get a great job because they studied the wrong thing. And so basically the idea was, what would it look like to create a new type of college or build a new model for community college where there was no debt? That's like the whole thing. It's like you shouldn't have to think, oh, do I want to get my degree or do I want to get into like thousands of dollars of debt? For average people, that's like a lot of money. And so the basic idea was, okay, what would it look like to build a new model for community college where students didn't have to take on loans, but they could still get access to these great professors, these amazing professors from schools like Vanderbilt and Howard and Morehouse, et cetera, but they don't have to take out the loans. And so that was like the big focus in the early days.
So you know that I know that you raised $29 million when you were just 29 years old. And how did you become the youngest chancellor in the country? And how many degrees do you have?
If I tell you how many degrees I have, my mom's gonna hate this podcast. But no, I didn't complete my bachelor's degree. Started my first company.
Oh, say that again?
Only one of us has 3 degrees, and it's not the athlete.
I'm smarter than Tade? Oh my God.
It's me.
Oh my God. I'm smarter than Tade.
It's not me. No, but it was crazy. So when I was undergrad, I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but after the Facebook movie came out, like my brother and I were just inspired, like, yo, if Mark Zuckerberg can do it, we can do it. Had an app idea, launched it over Easter holiday, it went viral, and investors reach out. And at the time, I just thought, okay, yeah, I'll just take a semester off. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, I can always go back. And then literally, I blinked, and it's 10 years later, 11 years later now, and I just never got the chance to go back. But I think it was a great experience. It's been a crazy ride. As you said earlier, you learn from experience. You can learn from a classroom. Ideally, you want to combine both. I think a big part of what made it possible for us to raise, a lot of capital was having a big vision. Like, I think in the early days of Silicon Valley, people had super ambitious visions. Like, let's create social networking. Let's create Uber, where we literally have an app that moves people from place to place. And I think a lot of the ideas that have been coming out from Silicon Valley and a lot of the companies that folks have been working on haven't been that impactful over the last decade. Like, if you think, what's the last company that came out that was as big as Uber? There hasn't been one, like, since, for the last 10 years. And so when we reached out to investors, and we were lucky enough to meet Michael Bloomberg's team, Sam Altman, the founder of ChatGPT, Jason Citron, the founder of Discord, and a bunch of other folks. These guys are billionaires. They're like, they only wanted to get out of bed for like huge ideas. Like, oh, if this works, it changes the world. And if you look at education, it's the biggest part of our economy that basically hasn't changed since the internet came out. Like, the way you learn for most students is exactly the same that we did, 30 years ago when you were an undergrad.
So you have no bachelor's, but you are a chancellor. Has that ever been done before?
I know Winston Churchill didn't have his bachelor's degree, also became a university chancellor. So I don't know if it's happened since.
So you're the black Winston Churchill.
I wouldn't say that. I would not say that.
No, I'm saying it.
Maybe at the end of my life, I'll have that kind of impact, but it's too early.
That's awesome.
At this point, you're already one of the best athletes ever. Why did you think it was important enough for you to go back and complete at LSU, as you said you did earlier, but then also keep going after you got that degree?
2 reasons. One, I wanted to make my parents proud. And the second reason was I know there were little kids looking up to me. And, my father always used to say, what would you do if you blew your knee out? What you gonna do if you're not the Shaq anymore? What you gonna do then? Education is gonna be very, very important for you to have. So I wanted to stress to all the kids that, hey, you can be a rapper and you can be this, and you can be an athlete, but you still gotta have a lot of education behind that. So, bachelor's at LSU. I went and got my master's, me and 15 of my friends, and then my doctorate from Barry University in Miami. It was tough, but it was something that I knew I would make the children that look up to me proud, would make my family proud. And I realized in high school, I hope this word doesn't offend you, I'm not trying to be offensive, but in high school, a geek saved my life. No, seriously. No, it's a true story. I was the number one player in Texas, but I had this government teacher. She was very hard on me. But she gave me a break. She says, you know what? You're not like the other athletes. You actually sit up front and you try to learn. Because if I didn't pass, I'm getting in trouble when I get home. So I got to pay attention. So I had a 69.4. And, you know, there was this guy, what was the G word? And everybody used to bully him. No, seriously, everybody used to bully him. So I just got tired one day. I was like, yo, his name was McDougal. Like, anybody touch McDougal?
Oh my goodness, this is out of a cartoon.
No, it's the true story. And so I let everybody know, all the homies and all that, anybody touch McDougal, you're gonna have problems with me. So my school was small. So graduating class was 39 people.
Oh wow.
9 through 12 was 298 people. 1 7-footer, me. So I
Already
ran
7
the school.
foot in high school.
Yeah, I'm only 7 foot in high school. So they just kept beating this kid up for no reason. So I said, you know what? Anybody mess with him, you're gonna have problems with me. So the government teacher tells me, because it's right before a game. We're 34-0. We only got 2 games left. We win the state. She don't want to flunk me, but she don't want to give me favors. But she let me get extra credit. She says, get with McDougal, because McDougal had an A in the class. Get with McDougal, and he's gonna help you pass this next test. I never talked to the dude. So that's the first. He's like, hey man, thanks for sticking up for me. But the way he broke it down to me, I was like, really? like he broke it down so simple. And for the first time, when I took the test, I made it 80. I felt smart.
Wow.
Like I never had that feeling when I felt smart. So ever since that, I was like, you know what? I want to be smart.
Wow.
So in college, you know, I made the academic All-American my first year as a freshman. I made the, you know, all academic. Like it felt great to be smart.
Right.
Because, you know, I was never smart, never felt smart, never wanted to be smart. But this kid, like when we were talking, he was like, no, you got to think like this. And I was like, hold on.
Wow.
That, like, if I would have thought, like for real, that's how easy that is. He's like, yeah. So ever since I've been using that strategy, like I have to thank them. So I wanted to be smart, and I've made myself an honorary member of the geek community. I like being smart.
All right, welcome to the geek community,
Thank
Shaq.
you.
We're happy to have you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
I saw an interview with Paul George, who I love, and he talked about he didn't win in high school, didn't win in college, hasn't won in the NBA. He wants that, and you were able to get that in high school. That's a blessing, and all partially because it's McDougal kid.
McDougal, yeah.
But like a lot of our students, so like more than 80% of our students work whilst they're getting their degrees at campus. And that's a big challenge. To be honest, of the students who don't complete, that's the biggest reason. Like work became incompatible with school. How did you balance that? Like you got your LSU degree whilst you were, I mean, that was probably the first, like you were an all-star. It was you and Kobe, like you guys were trying to get a championship.
The answer is simple. If you want to better yourself in life, if you really want to be focused on the education thing, you have to do it. You have to make time. You have to focus. You have to do it when you're tired. You have to take a nap when you get home from work, but wake up and study an extra 2 hours. You have to look over your notes. You have to memorize certain things. Only the strong can survive, and there's no excuses.
Sink or swim, it's up to you.
Like I'd practice from 10 to 12, come home, take a nap, and you know, the only time I had interruptions when I had to do daddy stuff with the kids, but that's only 2 or 3 hours. But good thing for me is I'm a night owl. So on 9 game days, I can stay here from 7 to 4 to 5 and just, but I like to knock it out because even though I'm the Shaq and I'm professional, I always got this drill sergeant in my ear. So now that I'm here, I got to get it done. I don't want to hear his mouth. So as soon as I dedicate myself to it, I have to get it done. And you know, I commend those people that get it done because it is a lot of work. But you know, being successful is not easy. It's not easy at all. If it was, you know, it'd be a trillion trillionaires. But you know, the guys that work and overwork and continue to work, those are the ones that have a likelihood of being very successful.
But just like walk me through the like day-to-day, because you're NBA star, it's you and Kobe doing championship runs, three-peating, you get off a private jet, you pull up to your house, there's all kinds of distractions, and you're actually doing your homework?
So this is how like life is supposed to, 24 hours, right? 8 hours of rest, 8 hours of work, and 8 hours of fun. So that's how I always start there, right? So let's just say I wake up at 10, go to practice, 11 to 1, right?
Yeah.
Now I got the rest of the day to myself. Now I just gotta, pick and choose what I gotta do. Daddy duties, go pick up school. That'll take 2 hours. Now it's 4 o'clock. Dinner with the family, 6, 7 o'clock. My grace period was always after 9 o'clock when the kids went to bed on a non-game day. When the kids went to bed, 9 till 4 or 5, I'm able to knock it out. If I missed yesterday, I got to do more work. Game days were challenging. Only times I got working on game days, like if it was a later game, because sometimes you play in the afternoon, sometimes you play at night. So we would have shoot around from 10 to 12. I'd eat lunch from 12 to 2 and then try to take a nap. But if it's a long game, and I may take an hour or 2 hours to like overlook something like, okay, I got a presentation when I
Right.
get back. I want to. So, but it's just something that you had to get done. And I made myself a promise. I made my family a promise. And when you have an athletic mindset. So when you have that athletic mindset, there's no excuses, and nothing's going to stop you. Like, we actually like challenges. I like that. Man, I've been doing this all day. When am I going to have time to study? And then you find that little 2 hours, and then you get it in, and you feel good about yourself because it just helps sharpen the mind.
You get addicted to that.
Yes.
Like that hit that you get for knowing that you did what you were meant to do for the day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I have a question,
Let's go.
and I want a real answer.
Okay.
I wish I could answer it, but I know nothing about what I'm about to ask you. So the question is, you have any advice for students trying to earn their degree today? What would you say to them? Would you say, go to college and don't worry about the debt, or worry about the debt and not go to college?
I mean, other than go to campus, I would say, like, to be honest, and this is something that I don't think gets across, it really depends on what kind of school you're going to, and what degree you want to study. If you are going to an elite university, you're going to Howard, you're going to Harvard, I feel like the data is pretty clear. The ROI, no matter how you pay for it, is going to be there. If you're going to the long tail of institutions that don't have that brand power that automatically get you a job, that don't provide you with the network that automatically gets you hired, at a company you want to work at, and you're specifically, if you're not studying something like engineering or business that's going to get you into a high-paying career, then you definitely should avoid debt at all costs. Like, when I see students today, they're taking out $50,000 a year in debt, and they're studying like English or basket weaving. It's like, you're literally never going to be able to pay those loans back.
I made an A in basket weaving, so stop it.
So it's like, no, you should not take out 50 grand a year to study basket weaving at a university no one's ever heard of. I do think for a small number of cases, if you're going to an elite brand or studying something that we know is going to lead to a great career outcome, you can take out loans. But other than that, just go to campus. Just go to campus.
Wait, can I tell them how to apply?
For sure, let's do it.
Okay. Just go to campus.edu and hit apply.
That's pretty awesome. I think.
I got a question.
What's up?
Do you need to water your sweater? What is that?
Like
fashion?
He said, "Is it fashion?" It was a huge debate. I spent 45 minutes talking to my mother about whether or not I should wear
Oh, no,
this.
you look good. I just don't know what it is.
You want to touch it?
No, I don't want to touch it.
Thank you for coming on, Shaq. I really appreciate it. Our students are going to be so psyched when they see this, and just really appreciate you telling your story.
And I just want to say thanks for having me. Love being your partner and an investor in your company.
All
And
right.
I want to help you envision your dream.
Appreciate it.
And I'm proud of you too, brother.
Thank you, Dr. O'Neill.
A man with no bachelor's.
All right, we're gonna have him teach a class next year. That'll be fun.
I promise I will.
I might take your class since I don't have my degree.
All right, deal. Let's do it.